We are so excited to introduce to you a very special keynote speaker today. His name is Nimo Patel.
Nimo's recently embarked on a project to bridge selfless service, love, and music. He calls it Empty Hands Music. He went to Wharton Business School, Wall Street, MTV, you name it, Nimo's seen it all. Through his adventurous experiences, he's realized that the path to light is through selfless service to others and internal purification. In 2007, he moved to the Gandhi Ashram in India and dedicated himself to helping the children in the surrounding slums. Now, 7 years later, he tours the world promoting Ekatva, a performance that carries the mission of oneness and uniting individuals in service to one another.
By understanding the core Jain values of interfaith cooperation and compassion, Nimo is someone who exemplifies our convention theme, today's learners, tomorrow's leaders.
Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Nimo Patel.
Jai Janendra. How's everyone doing today? Good? Awesome. It's a blessing to be here. It's really a blessing because when I think about why I'm here and why we are all here together, two words come to mind. Truth and nonviolence. Those are the two things that really come to my mind when I think of the Jain Dharma. And it's been powerful for me because over the past 6 years I've been living at the Gandhi Ashram, where Mahatma Gandhi ji moved after South Africa in his effort for his nonviolent movement in India. He started an ashram in Ahmedabad. Has anybody here been to Gujarat? Beautiful. Wonderful. Well, we always invite you there. That's where I've been living for the last 6 years, and I know that's a lot of our motherland, where our parents or our ancestors are from. And it's a very special space because of Gandhiji and the roots that he sowed there. And so I wanted to, maybe we can just keep it on the PowerPoint slide. This is Gandhiji's ashram. When I think of truth and nonviolence, the one word that comes to my mind is compassion. And it's such a powerful word because it's one of those things that we all have inside of us. It's just a matter of how many of those layers do we want to take off so that we can actually live in a day-to-day spirit of compassion. And I wanted to share 3 really short stories of heroes in my life that have taught me this small message of compassion. And first is Priyanka. Priyanka is a little sister of mine. She lives in the city of Pune, which is 2 hours outside of Bombay. And Priyanka has two very prized possessions in her life. One is this teddy bear named Nia, and second is her mother. Okay, her father is in jail for homicide, for murder, and she lives in the local slums in the surrounding area of Pune. So very challenged background, very minimal resources, doesn't have much materialistically speaking, but an amazing soul. 14-year-old girl, but the heart of and the wisdom of an 80-year-old. And recently we've become very close. And just about 6 months ago we were at a conference in Bombay. And Priyanka comes up to me at the end of the conference and she says, Nimo Bhaiya, I want to give you this gift. And she gives me this black rubber jar. And I'm like, what is this? And it has a slit on top, so it kind of looks like a piggy bank. And I shake it and I can hear the money. I'm like, Priyanka, what's this for? I don't want this. She's like, no, you keep it. I said, no, I'm not taking any money from you. She says, Nimo Bhaiya, you do something good for somebody else with it. And she walks away. This is a girl that has literally nothing financially speaking or materially speaking. She gives somebody else her piggy bank. Not only just to give it away, but then she's even further detached from it by saying, you do something good for somebody else. I don't want any credit from that. The next day, that same weekend in Bombay, her and the 30 kids, that she's part of a dance group that a nonprofit that my friend runs is part of, called Teach for India. And she's doing this dance called Maya, a musical. All these 30 kids go to this hospice in Mumbai just to spend some time with elderly that are on their deathbed, that have no family. And Priyanka's with this old South Indian lady. They don't speak the same language. And she calls me later in the week to tell me that she's sad but happy. I said, what happened, Priyanka? She says, well, I went to this hospice and I met this old lady and she looked so sad. So I was just spending time with her, but we couldn't communicate. So I went back outside to my backpack and I got some chocolate for her. And then Nia, my teddy bear, was there, so I got that. I wanted Nia to give her a hug so she would smile. So she came back, she gave the old lady this chocolate, and the lady was happy. And then she gave Nia so that she can hug Nia to smile, and the lady's face started to glow. And Priyanka was telling me this on the phone. She says, when I saw how happy she was, I had to just let Nia go. And she gave her teddy bear to this old lady. Now, you got to imagine, she's been living with this teddy bear for over 8-9 years. And that's the only thing that she really owns in her life. So in one weekend, she gives all the money she's ever had in her piggy bank to me. She gives this teddy bear to this old lady, and she's sharing with me on the phone that she felt sad because she misses Nia. But the lesson that she taught me was, she said, but I have no regrets. I am so happy that I followed my heart. And it's so powerful to hear that this potential that exists that we all have to be kind, to be compassionate, is there. To overcome our own greed, to overcome our own wants and desires, to support and help other people. There's this one rickshaw driver in Ahmedabad. And every day, he gets up, he takes care of his morning rituals, he gets to his rickshaw stand, and he buys 2 packets of Parley G crackers. Has anybody had Parley G cookies before? With your chai? Chai nasto sade? So he gets these Parley G crackers, he crumbles them up, and you wouldn't believe what he does with them. He feeds the ants every day. And when we heard that he does this every day, we were just so moved, because the first question our brain says is, why do you do that? What's the point? You're not changing the world. And he says, and his response is, what do you mean? The ants are happy, they get food. He is just so present with the smallest of things and feels so much joy from doing that small act that he's in a state of bliss. Those around him feel so inspired. And just imagine if we all lived like that, where we're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to change ourselves and find that alignment with what we care about inside and offering that to those around us. This fruitwala, Ramesh Bhai, is amazing. He lives in Old City, Ahmedabad. And one day my friends and I decided to do a little pilgrimage, a one-day experiment, saying we're not going to have any money in our pockets, we're not going to know where we're going to eat, where we're going to sleep, we won't have a cell phone, we just want to walk and experiment. How do we react to situations, and how do the people around us react? So for 24 hours, we just took a walking pilgrimage around Ahmedabad. And we went to visit all the religious institutions. So we went to the Derasar, we went to the Gurudwara, the Masjid, Mandir, church. That was our daytime yatra, a pilgrimage during our daytime. By the night, we were starving, and we were standing next to Ramesh Bhai's fruitwala stand in Old City, Ahmedabad. We had no clue what we were going to do. We were all just debating amongst ourselves, a bunch of intellectuals. How are we going to eat? Should we sit down on the street and beg? Should we fast today? Should we ask somebody? In the meanwhile, Ramesh Bhai sees us. And anybody that has like a fruitwala stand like Ramesh Bhai is not very well-to-do. He looks at it and says, what are you guys up to? We told him our little journey for the day that we were doing. And he offers us bananas right away without even thinking. Then we say, thank you. Some of the people in our group were like, no, we shouldn't accept it. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You're hungry. Our egos are so big, you know? It's like, oh, no, we can't accept it. There's hungrier people than us. And we all agreed, okay, we'll accept it. After some time, he sees us just standing there still, like a few minutes later, and he asks one of his neighbors, pulls out a 500 rupee note, which is more than he probably makes over 2 days. And he says, go take these guys to a local restaurant. It's like a hole-in-the-wall restaurant. Really like small, like old city style. But the amount of love he has for strangers to be able to offer that is just amazing, and blew us away and blew me away, because I'm here with a bunch of friends and we're questioning whether we should even be able to receive that. because our egos are so big, we can't even receive. And it was just a blessing. Like, to me, these are the everyday heroes in our world. Not just Ahmedabad, not India, but amongst all of us here and all over this planet, there's so many amazing souls that are doing the smallest, most beautiful things where nobody even notices it. And that, to me, is that truth plus nonviolence put together, that compassion. The truth, because these people are following. Gandhiji used to say, the truth is God. And what he meant was not telling a lie. He's not talking about not telling a lie. He's talking about following what your heart is saying and letting that overcome what your mind is saying. And when we reduce the negativities in our mind, that's when ahimsa, nonviolence, actually comes about. So you let your heart bloom and you take the negative thoughts out of your mind, and that's love, that's compassion, that's truth and nonviolence. I wanted to share a song with you right now, if you guys don't mind. It's called Being Kind. And to me, it's what I feel when I think of the values that our Jain Dharma represent. So if you can just play that track. This is called Being Kind. You could turn the music up a little more. I think of this idea that as we walk our path in our day, wherever we are, the physical path, we all have the opportunity to spread love and kindness. And that's what it's really about. Well, my heart starts sinking and I'm thinking, what's the reason why we holding back from being kind? What's the disease? But then I sense we are fine. It'll all happen one small step at a time. When the world is full of violence and it needs a little kindness, I just sit and pray in silence, and God shows me the signs. Open my eyes, realize we are fine. One small act at a time. Last night I'm walking home and a homeless man says hello with a smile to let me know that he's got a lot of hope. He says, have faith, young man, we are fine. The world is kind. Small acts we do together, even though maybe alone, changes the world for the better, so we can call it home. And this is life as we know, when our hearts are aligned, the magic that unfolds, one small act at a time. Throw your hearts up, let it fly high, let your love for all the world spread it through the skies. Let it drop down, let it all go, spreading kindness through every single living soul. Can you see your love for me shining through? Cause what you see in me, I can see in you. And soon enough, you and me will be right at time, and kindness will be all we can leave behind. Feeling grateful today, never thought this day would come where I would feel it and say each and every one of us have paved the way doing good, and now we're all just moving up. When I'm kind to you, you pay it forward. This is how we build trust. Never had faith, but now I'm seeing you eye to eye. Wanna gift you my life, wanna spread love before I die. Thank you, God, for finally letting me realize when I serve man, I'm really serving you in disguise. Smiles everywhere, cause now everybody's got the bug. Ain't no life without the love. If it is, it ain't no fun. What we gonna do? Now just grab a friend and give a hug. Spread it out real wide so everyone can be touched. Throw your hearts up, let it fly high. Let your love for all the world spread through the sky. Let it drop down, let it all go, spreading kindness through every single living soul. Can you see your love for me shining through? Cause what you see in me, I can see in you. And soon enough, you and me will be out of time, and kindness will be all we can leave behind. Thank you. When I think of the three jewels of the Jain Dharma, you could turn the mic a little low. There's a little feedback. I think of this image right here. And it's this idea of the head, the hands, and the heart finding some alignment. But the key is not that the head, heart, and hands are just aligned, it's that the heart is in the center. And when the heart starts making the decisions, and we as a human being, as a body, as an intellectual being, start supporting that, then that's where the magic starts unfolding. And that's where we have the capacity to take the values that our religion represent and really spread it in this world. There were, for me, like going into India was a big change. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles, went to school in Philly, was in New York working for a while, and then moved back to LA. I never imagined I would go back to India and live there. But being there has taught me so many different lessons, and it's like rewiring, you know, the way I live and the way I see the world. And I wanted to share some of those learnings in this process as we start putting our heart forward and letting everything else follow. Like one of the lessons for me was like moving from fruits to seeds. And what I mean by that is, I feel like all my life I had been chasing the fruits. Always looking for like the end result. Always looking for like, how can I accomplish something? How can I get my name to be this, or make this much money, or get these results? And little did I realize that all the fruits that I was actually reaping were all like seeds that people around me had planted. My parents, my community, the world, nature. And that was a really humble realization, to realize that all the fruits I'm eating are because seeds of other people had planted. That really all I can do, and all we can do, is plant seeds for the people behind us. And that means through our positive intention, through our positive action, through our positive thoughts. And so when I was working with 16 kids from the local slum community. And what we did is we spent together every day about 4 to 5 hours for about 3 years. And we created a musical that we ended up touring around the world. And these kids were kids, they became my kids. And I really, almost in the beginning, my ego was so strong that when I first got there, I was like, I want these kids to be like this. I want their life to be full of beautiful opportunity, because they're all from underprivileged communities in the slums. Little by little, I started realizing that, man, you can't control other people. What you can do is you can plant seeds in their lives and nurture that, and maybe, you know, if the stars align, then those seeds will blossom. But you're not in charge of crafting fruits out of the trees. You're in charge of planting the seeds. And it was a big lesson. So every day, for about 1.5 hours, we would just spend time like this, sitting in a circle, not even practicing or exercising or doing any choreography or music or dance. We would just sit in a circle, and we would talk, we would pray, we would meditate, we would share what happened in our day. And I realized this was one of the biggest ways for us to create change. And you'll notice that even within your family, within your community, if you just take time to sit in a circle and engage, that consistency in that process creates amazing change. The other big lesson for me was this idea from big to small. You know, going to business school, mind is like wired to like think big and to create big things. And this was my chance. I was like, wow, this is my chance to actually practice small, because everyone there is doing small little things. And so for us, it's like during practice, I love this picture on the left-hand side, because it's like every day before practice, we align our slippers in a straight line. To me, that's like the biggest accomplishment in the day for me. I'm like, wow, awesome. We aligned our slippers in a straight line. Meanwhile, if you go further, the picture down, all the teachers and instructors that are there at that Performing Arts Academy, their slippers are thrown here and there. And to me, it represented such an important detail. And then another thing, for example, on the right, there's Chandni cleaning the bathroom. Every day after practice, we would clean the bathrooms. The girls would do the girls, and myself and the boys would clean the boys' bathroom. And it was just a way to bring ourselves back to ground reality. That yes, we're doing a show and we're performing in front of thousands of people, but we're not superstars. And the small things help root us and help ground us and help us bring ourselves to the present without us like creating a bigger, picture in our mind than what the reality is. And those small things all add up, and it creates a spirit around you that really actually make you move towards the big when you don't even realize it. And that's what happened. We ended up doing all these small things for two years, and before you know it, the world was supporting us to bring that tour across 3 continents, America, the UK, and India. But what I realized that the third lesson for me was this idea that it's not about the actions, it's not about what you do. And we're so used to that, right? We're so used to like, hey, so what do you do? Oh, good, you're a doctor. Okay, you're an engineer, you're an artist, you're this, you're that. You're a business successful person. I don't know, I feel like it's more important about how we do whatever we do. The spirit in which we do something is the most important thing. And whether I'm feeding ants, Harley G. Crumbs, or I'm the CEO or the President of America, it doesn't matter. I don't know, God had that planned out for you or something, whatever you're doing. But how you do it, we have a choice. We have the choice of how we want to interact in every moment with every individual. We have a choice of the spirit in which we want to live, how grateful we want to be for what we all have here. When I see all 750 of you here, I am just amazed at so many things and grateful for our parents' journeys coming here to America, the struggle that they went through, to plant seeds for us, to have an opportunity all to come together, to pay, to have financial capability to even make it here, to have a community that cares enough for the values, all the board members and staff and all the adults and mentors and everyone that cares enough to make this happen. The intention is so strong. You know, we all care enough. So I think, to me, that's like one of the biggest lessons is, can we constantly ask, why are we doing what we're doing? And constantly think to your time on this planet is very limited, super limited. It's very short. You know, if you look at the history of planet Earth, 4.5 billion years. I like giving this visual. So imagine you plotting Earth's history onto the map of 365 days of 1 year, where January 1st is whatever we call it, the Big Bang, whatever. And December 31st, midnight, is all of us here right now, present moment. You won't, I mean, it's mind-boggling, but in February is when single-celled organisms came about. In November is when fish arrived on the planet. December 15th is when dinosaurs arrived on the planet. December 20th. December 25th is when dinosaurs went extinct. Each day is equal to 12 million years approximately. And human beings and recorded history of human beings, back to Jesus, Mahavirji, Buddha, just the last 15 seconds of the last day of the year. So you can imagine the insignificance of us as well as the significance, right? And so that last question I leave you with is like, how do you want to live your life while you're here? You know, all of our lives are precious, but they're also very... Gandhiji used to say, everything you do in this life will be insignificant, but you still got to do it with a lot of love. You know, so I just leave you with that question of like, while you're here on this planet, before you leave, ask yourself, what's your intention for being here? How do you want to make use of your time here? And there's this one moment that Gandhiji had. He was walking towards the train, and a journalist came up. Many journalists come up to him when he was around. He said, Gandhiji, what's your message? And I'm sure you heard this quote. So what's your message? Just like in small words. And he turned around to the guy. He was just walking, and he said these words. He didn't have to say anything else. And I have so much faith and so proud of all of us as a community that we're all walking that path to try to live a life that in the end, when we look back, is really the message that we wanted to give. And I wanted to share one last song with you. It's called Graduation. And to me, it's this idea of what would it mean to graduate from life. You can just play that music. Have your eye on the goal, but then let it all go. For everything changes as you will come to know. Every plan you make, every seed you sow is impermanent. Nothing is ever yours to own. Once you realize this, oh, you will see the truth, that you never were the planter of your own fruits. But accept these gifts, even if you don't know from who, and kindly pay it forward to those behind you. Because ultimately, what we take will always disappear, but what we give will live on for years. So keep giving of your stuff and yourself until your ego has completely melted. Be wary of the impact you want to make. Instead, make sure you are impacted each day. Have your eye on the sky, but still see the ants, for the small things are the foundation of all that will last. We move on as time passes by. Let's just hope we move from darkness to light. When we reach the top and we look back, I hope you cry, filled with tears of joy, satisfied. Be careful not to accumulate too many things, because you may just end up with the pot full of greed, and doing likewise can also be deceiving. So I encourage you all to practice just being. Be still, be happy, be loving, be kind, be humble, be magical, be aware, but be blind. Don't judge. See the good in each and every soul. Use your mind when needed, but follow your heart even more. Also, don't forget to thank God every time you fail, because your journey from failure will be a legacy and tale. Remember to feed birds, hug trees, and bow to the sun until you and Mother Nature are one. The last thing is to be grateful for all of your gifts, for gratitude and suffering cannot coexist. Once you reach this space, every moment will be bliss, and this graduating class will mark your success. We move on as time passes by. Let's just hope we move from darkness to light. When we reach the top and we look back, I hope you cry, filled with tears of joy, satisfied. Satisfied. We move on as time passes by. Let's just hope we move from darkness to light. When we reach the top and we look back, I hope you cry, filled with tears of joy, satisfied. Thank you, YJA.
Now we'll have a short amount of time for a little bit of Q&A with Nimo. So if anybody has questions, Nimo will be taking a couple of them.
I was wondering if you
You're
had...
going to say your name, brother.
My name is Dave Shaw. I'm from Houston. I was wondering if you had a CD that I could get your songs from.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I really love them.
Well, you know what? I brought about 750 albums to give to all of you. Yeah. So, Shikar, if I'm correct, it's right here on the info booth. All I ask is that you offer your email address so that when we come out with new music or anything, it's all a gift. I wouldn't want to charge for it. So the albums are outside. All you have to do is sign your email address, and you'll receive an album. It's called Empty Hands, and they're just like 10 songs that my friends and I have done over this time.
I'm Sapna Shah, and I was just wondering what made you move to India after you had all those amazing experiences like business school and everything. What made you move to India and decide to do that?
Yeah, thank you, Sapna. I actually moved there for a business. So I had a comic strip also that turned into an animation studio. So I moved out to India to start an animation studio. But I think your question digs into why did I leave that, for example. And for me, it was this idea that I just felt like, you're right, everything was there materially, but inside I wasn't feeling satisfied. And I just knew I had to answer that call, otherwise it'd be too late in my life. And I was at about 30 years old when I felt that feeling like, I feel empty still. And I think the most important blessing that I got was like responding to that empty feeling, even though everything was there, and saying, I got to change the way I'm living, you know? And that's what kind of made me say, I want to. Gandhiji has this beautiful quote. He says, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I was on a search to find myself. And that's, I think, the path I wanted to go was through service. And there's many paths we can do that, you know? Thanks.
Hi, my name is Selena Raleigh. I was curious as to what the musical that you created with those children is about.
Good question. Yeah, it was about, we called it Ekattva, which kind of translates to oneness. And for us, it was trying to really share Gandhiji's message on stage, which is that we are all one. And it was about a 90-minute dance drama musical that took vignettes of Gandhiji's messages and portrayed it through dance and music. And I would say even go further to say it was also including of Martin Luther King Jr.'s, Cesar Chavez, I mean, messages that are very universal to this world, but it was about oneness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Rahul Shah. So how did you decide that music would be the best platform to spread your message in English, also in India and elsewhere abroad?
Yeah, I mean, initially music and entertainment has always been my passion. And this music, for example, this album that's a gift for all of you, I didn't have a plan for that. I stopped music like 8 years ago. So I was in a hip hop group for about 15 years. And I stopped it like in about 07 or so, or 06. Just last year I started writing again. And I think it wrote itself because I wasn't really intending on creating an album or even writing again. But something kind of drew me to wanting to write these messages that I felt I was learning so much from so many people. And I don't know what it was, to be quite honest, why I started writing again. But it came together, then we did some music videos that we shared around the world, and people really connected with it. And that's when I was like, wow, I didn't realize music could be of service. True selfless service, you know, versus just entertainment. And I think seeing people being moved and hearing responses from all around the world from these videos that we had put out on kindness and on gratitude and stuff, really inspired me to say, wow, okay, then I can do. So right now I'm on a 6-month tour around America and the UK, just sharing music and the message in a way that I feel is of service versus of entertainment, you know? So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think one more question.
Hi, my name's Avni, and I just had a follow-up question based on this musical that you put on with these kids that you've worked with. What has become of these kids after you finished working with them?
Great question. Yeah, so the journey we did was 3 years, which led to this tour that we did around America, the UK, as well as India. And when we got back, we're like family, so my involvement in their lives is pretty close. What we're focused on with them is just their education right now. And so we put them all the boys are at a private boarding school. All the girls are mixed between private schools as well as public schools based on what their wants and needs are. And so we have monthly kind of meetings with them and their parents, as well as annual meetings towards the end of the school year, just to keep on seeing how they're doing and where they all want to go. And again, it's the same approach. It's not really trying to turn them into something versus nurturing their journey. And I always tell them, like, after we were done with Ekattva, I was like, I don't know if you guys heard this term, but Jat Minat Zindabad. This idea that it's really up to their own hard work, but we'll support you all the way. You know, financially, they don't have to worry about one thing as long as they're committed. So my relationship with them is, one, as a big brother, and two, just seeing that their journey, academic journey, is going strong, because that's really for them the only way to break out of this cycle of poverty. And so there have been many opportunities, people around the world asking us to perform, to tour again, and it's always been a clear no for me, because it's not about the dance, and that was a vehicle to get them connected to the spirit and to the message and to their own personal journeys. So yeah, everything's going well. I mean, everyone has their own reality, so for us it's a customization of how, you know, our NGO, Manav Sadhana, and myself and all the volunteers and staff. We're just basically customizing each kid's journey. And even though we work with thousands of kids, we're much more committed to them because of their commitment that they gave in the process as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Once again, I'll be outside as well, like by the CD thing, because we're offering the gifts. So please join us. We can talk. We'll be chatting.
Before he leaves, we want another round of applause. Give me a good one.
Thank you, guys.
So for those of you who didn't hear Nimo or didn't get your CD at registration, they will be at the info booth all weekend, and they're there until they run out. So any speaker, volunteer, attendee is free to get them as long as you provide your email to Nimo.
And now, to show our appreciation, we have a little token for Nimo. We would like to invite 2 YJA attendees who are very close to him on stage. Gio and Janal Mehta, please come on stage now to present Nimo Patel with the little token.
Let's thank Nimo one last time.